In this video, we're rearranging formulae where the unknown appears in the numerator and the denominator. I've written down 4 steps and I'll work through 4 examples and show you how I can apply those steps and in helping you answer these types of questions. First question, what we have is Q is equal to 1 minus P over 1 plus Q. Now, as you see, the unknowns in the numerator and the denominator, where we're trying to make P the subject. So therefore, we want P on its own on either side of the equal sign. The first step is to take the denominator over. So here's the denominator. If I'm going to take it over, I want to take it to the other side, and therefore the inverse operation will happen. So as it's dividing on this side, it will therefore multiply on the other side. So we have Q bracket 1 plus P is equal to 1 minus P, and that's what the first step tells us to do. The second step is to expand out. So we're going to multiply out Q. So Q times by 1 is Q, and then Q times by P is QP, and that equals to 1 minus P. Second step is to collect the like terms to one side. Now, I've got 2 Q's on this side, but as I'm trying to make P the subject, I want only the P's on this side of the equal sign. So I'm going to keep this QP here, okay, and then I'm going to take this minus P to this side because it contains a P, and bring it to this side and watch how it reverses sign. I'm going to keep my 1 here because I haven't moved it. Then I'm going to move this Q to this side where it turns into a minus Q. So I have QP plus P equals to 1 minus Q. Now, as I'm trying to make P the subject, my next step is to factorize. Now, P is a common factor on both sides, so I have to factorize this part of the equation. So P is the one that's left outside the bracket. So what you need to just remember is P times by something to give you QP. Well, it must be Q here. P times by Q is QP. Then P times by what just gives me P. Well, if P multiplies by a positive 1, it will multiply out to give you a positive 1P. And that equals to 1 minus Q. So now we factorize. We're then going to solve. Now to solve, all you need to do is take this entire bracket to the other side. Now, if it has multiplied on this side, if we move it over, it will then start to divide. And so what you have is P on this side, and then the 1 minus Q on top, and that would be your final answer. You can just highlight that. Okay, so there are 4 steps in solving. You can have a go at the next one or just work with the video. So the first step is to take out the denominator. So bring this to the other side. And this time we're making y the subject of the formula. Second step is to expand out. So we've got x times by 1, which is x. X times by 2 is 2xy, and that is 1 minus y. And then the next step is to make sure that I've got all y's on this side, so do some moving around. So as 2xy is not going to move because it contains a y, it's going to stay on this side, it means that x is going to move, so x turns into a minus x. And as we can see, this minus y belongs on this side, and the sign will reverse on it, and the 1 has not moved. So we've got 1 minus x on this side, and then 2xy plus y on the other side. So we've done the third step. Fourth step is to factorize. So I know y is a common factor over here. So y times by what to give me 2xy? Well, it must be 2x here, and y times by what to give me just y? Well, y times by 1 is positive 1. Is just a single y, and that's a 1 on this side. Now the final step, y has now been isolated and separated, so we can leave it on its own by simply shifting this bracket. So once this bracket has been shifted onto this side, it turns into a divider. So we've got y is equal to 1 minus x over 2x plus 1. So just be careful and bring that in. So you may want to pause the video there and just re-practice the first two questions again. There are another two questions left in this video which you can start to do independently. Okay, so the third question is this. The first step is we're going to take out the denominator. So make sure you've got brackets around your c plus 1, and that equals to 3 plus 2c. Second step, you're going to multiply out. So you've got 2d times by c, which is 2dc, and then 2d times by 1, which is just a positive 2d, and that equals to 3 plus 2c. Then I want to do some rearrangement and collect the like terms to one side. This time we're making c the subject of the formula. So what we're going to do is keep c's onto the left hand side and shift over everything that's not. So this 2dc I'm going to keep on this side because it contains a c, and the 2d is going to come onto this side where it's a minus 2d. Okay, so now that's gone. Now the 2c on this side I want to shift over to this side because this side contains all the c's. The 3 I have not done anything to it, so I'm just keeping it on this side. Okay, so third step is done. Fourth step, we're going to have to go back and factorize. We're making c the subject, so we want c to be outside of a bracket, so c times by what to get you 2dc, that's 2d, and c times by what to get you a negative 2c, and that's negative 2, and then I have a 3 minus 2d. As I'm making c the subject, I'm going to bring over this to the other side, and that's going to be my denominator of my fraction. So 3 minus 2d is on top. This entire bracket gets moved over to the other side and c is left, making that the subject. So these type of questions would be 4-mark questions. Right, final question is we're making a the subject this time. We're going to go through these 4 steps again. I'm going to take out my bracket. I'll take out my denominator, so y bracket a minus b is equal to a. That step is done. Step 2 is I'm going to expand this out, so I'm going to get a ya minus yb equals to a. Step 3, I'm going to collect my like terms to one side. Now the terms I want to gather on this side is my ya. I want my a also to be on this side to enable me to factorize the one I actually want to make the subject. And I take that negative yb to that side and turn it into a positive yb. And I've now done the third step successfully. I will now factorize it, take my common a outside. So a times by y would have given me the ya, and a times by a negative 1 would have given me that negative 1a. That equals to yb. So factorization has now been done. And then the final step is to shift the entire bracket to the other side. So yb over this y minus 1. And that's what a is equal to. And now we've successfully made a the subject. I have made another video where we go through 4 different exam style questions based on this topic. Please have a look at that too after you feel confident with this.